Hi everyone, it's Ian from DIY Home and Gardening. It's the 8th of January 2023 and you can tell I'm at the allotment because it's raining. My job today is there to get some broad beans or fava beans depending where you're from, get them out and planted, and yeah, so beautiful day for it. So let's turn around and have a look, shall we? So first off, what I've done is I've cleared the bed of a few of the old crops that were in there. So I had some Swiss chard that had got absolutely frozen and killed over. Same with the perpetual spinach, well, most of them. What I have done is I've cleaned up and planted the last three really, or three usable. So they've gone into there, which leaves me with this bed, for this first part of the bed. If I need more space, then I'll take out a few more of those swede, but for now I've given that a light fork over, weeded it, and I'm going to just add some of this homemade compost. You know, look at that, it looks beautiful now. Basically that is a year's worth of compost, or the first year's worth of compost that has been put in, turned repeatedly, and it has finally sunk down to that. So essentially we've gone from about a cubic metre to, I suppose, about half a cubic metre of good stuff. And so this we can now carry over there. Right, so having got a couple of bucket loads over here, you can either use a rake or just your hands, just work through any of the larger bits that you don't really want, just put back into a bucket. They break down over a period of time, either on the surface or at the bottom of a trench for maybe like some bean planting or something. So just work your way through. There's old bits of, well, you got a bit of newspaper there that's still relatively intact, but say just sieve out any bits that you don't quite want, and we're just looking to get a nice layer of goodness over the top of this bed. Okay, so that's that done. That's that first section done, all prepped up, roughly level, and I'm just going to leave it like that and then plant into it. Don't worry about digging in, because that's what the worms are for. You only need to, well, I suppose, dig the odd bit in as you do planting. So let's go and have a look at the plants. Right, these are the plants that I'm going to be put in. This is broad bean Aquadulce, variety that I always grow because, quite frankly, it's as tough as anything, and it's fine to be planted in the winter. Now, you can direct sow the seed in winter time. So when I say winter, you know, your November period, you can direct sow the seed into the ground, and sometimes that's good. Last year, well, actually 2021, so autumn winter 2021, I did exactly that, sowed the seed into that bed, and it was another wet winter, and literally I ended up with about 3 or 4 plants came up because the rest just got devoured by slugs. So what I did last year was I set the seed into cell trays and planted out, and then, you know, planted out the plant, and I think I might have only lost one. So this year I'm doing exactly the same. So these seed, they were put in November. These have literally just been in a cold frame, so no heat at all. And bearing in mind we've had -8, -9 this winter, you can see they look lovely and healthy. There's the odd one, so that one you can tell has got a little bit frosted, but that's fine. And then there's a small one at the back there, but you know, you can see good root development out to the base of the cells, and what that means is that we've got 6 per line, so we've got 24 plants, all viable and can be planted out. So obviously we come back to the same thing that I suppose repeatedly go on about, which is all about your planning. And indeed with last year's methodology, which was sowing direct into cells, is it does mean that if you know how many plants you want, then you can grow accordingly. So I've got a whole tray of 24 has taken all up, and that's good because I wanted about that sort of number. Obviously if I only wanted 20, then I'd only plant 20. If I wanted more than that, you can grow more than that. You could maybe do 2 trays worth of broad beans, allowing for some possible failures, and work through that way. But it just means that you can get your plants off to a good start, and then you can pick and choose and plant accordingly, rather than planting loads of seed into the ground and finding that actually you end up with far fewer, or indeed far more than you actually intended and wanted. It also means that having sown that seed in November, they've been in there, and at that same time it's meant that I've been able to plant out the garlic and onions, and got those beds done, because I have been really struggling on time. And now we find ourselves in the first week of January, and we're able to get this bed prepped and plant directly into there. So, you know, we're basically going to be at the same stage, although you know, change of plan, I suppose. Anyway, let's get planting and get laid out. So very simple. We'll take the tray and get some laying out. So first thing to do, let's pop some of these out and have a little look, just tease them out. Look at that, absolutely stonking root system. And going to set these out across here. And what I'm going to do, because this hoop is going to be covered, I'm going to set them in. So just use your fork or whatever to set. And with broad beans, tend to go for about 6 to 9 inch spacing, which, if you look at your fork or trowel, is about 12 inches. So half of that would give you a 6, plus, you know, half and a half, quarter, gives you a 9 inch spacing. But all I'm going to do to start with is get a few plants laid out and work out roughly where they're going to go, and then replicate it. So let's pop a few plants out, or all the plants out, and then take a little look. And so that is the first line gone in. Probably is about 9 inch spacings, and just looking at them, I've put them about an inch further down or deeper than they were. The reason being, just want to make sure that you cover over the beans so that they're not going to get damaged if we get a sudden cold snap, or more importantly, well, if mice or slugs get to them. So that's my sort of rough 9 inch spacing. I'm probably slightly wayward on that spacing, but nevertheless. And then again, setting out roughly 9 inches that away. So can either use the old fork and eye method, you know, just literally checking by eye, or put a line out. When I come to do things like the other veg and garlic and onions, I always use a line guide, but actually for here, I know that this 24 plants should essentially occupy this first bit, so as long as they're within that, no problem. Okay, so having got all the broad beans planted, there's only one in that far corner that I'm not very happy with. I'm not convinced that it's got much strength to it, so I'll probably just sow a couple of seeds to well, basically make up the numbers. So yeah, plants are all in, and now this is sort of another little add-on really. So because of how broad beans are, they produce a lot of crop up top on what is quite a small plant, and so if they don't have any support, what you tend to find is that as the beans form, the plants all bend or flop one way or other, and really can't cope with the amount of fruit or veg, whatever you want to call it, that's on there. So just put in some supports. Now you can either do it at this stage or as they get bigger. Because I'm going to put these covers over, or a cover over this section, might as well do it now. So easiest way is set a cane out or stick some sticks out and push them right down like so, and repeat at each of the corners. So with the canes in, just tie some string to it, and all we're going to do is just run the string at a low level across, tight to this one, then to that one, and that one. Tie the ends together, and that is your outer support done. If you feel like you need to put in some intermediate supports, then by all means do that. And that's essentially all you need to do. Once the plants get taller, just add a second one. So literally going to give you support about 9 inches above ground level, and all that will do is that will stop these outer ones from tipping outwards. If anything, it will encourage them to move inwards a little bit, and it just means that that whole block is supported against one another. And that is, I suppose, that's my little tip. So broad beans planted, just get the netting on, and that will be me done in this horrendous weather.